The mindset of Obi-Wan Kenobi as he ventures to Mustafar to fight his brother, his best friend, the Sith. Obi-Wan is not thinking in this moment like any other Jedi of the Clone Wars. He has a singular goal, a singular focus in mind. He is there for Anakin. But with all of that said, did Obi-Wan Kenobi actually believe that he could beat Anakin, the chosen one, the boy that he had raised, although he struggled with this idea first emotionally? What did Obi-Wan think his chances were against Anakin in a direct fight? Did Obi-Wan actually think he could beat Anakin? Or was he essentially sacrificing himself for the greater good of the galaxy? Well, today we have selected a very special holocron, and we will be breaking down why Obi-Wan Kenobi ultimately thought he would lose to Anakin, why this didn't matter, but why Obi-Wan thought that he may have a chance. Greetings, and welcome back to the channel, Acolytes of the Force. Real quick, thanks to Black Friday, we are relaunching the Star Wars merch page. Most of the site is up to 50% off right now, but the sale will be ending shortly. If there's any hoodies, t-shirts, keychains, or other items you would like or you think would make for a good gift, you can also use my code WAVE for an additional 15% off your entire order. So if you're looking to pick up some holiday Star Wars gear for yourself or others and support the channel, check out the link in the description down below. But anyway guys, let's get on with it. Did Obi-Wan believe that he could beat Anakin? As Obi-Wan Kenobi ventured to Mustafar, he did not believe that he could defeat Anakin easily at all. In fact, he believed that he was going to his death. However, as a Jedi Master and Anakin's mentor, Obi-Wan felt that he had the skills, knowledge, and composure necessary to hold his own against him. His decision to confront Anakin, though, was not one rooted in confidence in his victory, but one that was rooted in duty to stop the Sith. Unlike Anakin, Obi-Wan Kenobi did not overestimate his skills. Obi-Wan was familiar with Anakin's combat style, his skills, his strengths. He had trained Anakin for years, witnessed firsthand his exceptional abilities, including his mastery of Form 5 lightsaber combat, and an unparalleled connection to the Force. He knew that Anakin was the chosen one, and based on power alone, Obi-Wan didn't stand a chance. Obi-Wan did not approach the confrontation with arrogance or confidence in his victory. Instead, he expressed deep sorrow over the situation. Just because he didn't believe that he would win, he didn't even think that that was important in this moment. That didn't stop Obi-Wan from trying. He didn't lose faith in the Force. And if the Force would will his victory, then so be it. And if the Force would will his defeat, then so be it. When Obi-Wan arrives on Mustafar, he is not arrogant. He doesn't have any confidence that he can beat Anakin. He's just there with deep sorrow. This is reflected in the dialogue when he says, "I will do what I must." Obi-Wan was prepared to fight Anakin out of duty, not because he thought he would win. But Obi-Wan was a defensive specialist. He was resilient, and he was a Form 3 practitioner, the best that has ever lived. He knew that his best chance against Anakin was to outlast him rather than overpower him. Obi-Wan's choice of Sarisu reflects his understanding of Anakin's aggression, and Obi-Wan knew that Anakin would use his strength to overwhelm him. But Obi-Wan would lean on discipline. He had composure and experience on his side. Obi-Wan's greatest strength lay in his calmness, his discipline, and his experience. He believed that his emotional stability, his strategic mindset would give him an edge against Anakin in this moment. Anakin was overconfident, and he was filled with rage, and Obi-Wan knew it. But he knew that that rage would lead to mistakes. Obi-Wan knew Anakin's flaws better than anybody else on the battlefield. Anakin was the greatest warrior of the Clone Wars, that was to be sure. Obi-Wan would be the first to tell you. He would be the first to tell you that he was a better general than Obi-Wan, that he was superior with the blade, with the Force. But Obi-Wan knew that Anakin was impulsive, overconfident, and had a tendency to let his emotions dictate his action. Obi-Wan had planned to exploit that weakness brilliantly. As a Jedi, Obi-Wan trusted the will of the Force. His role in confronting Anakin had a cosmic destiny. Everybody has a destiny. This bolstered his confidence that he could succeed, even if the odds were against him. In this moment, Obi-Wan was not fighting for the Senate. He was not fighting for the Republic. He was fighting for the heart of the galaxy, its very destiny, and he knew it. Obi-Wan went to Mustafar, fully accepting that he would likely die there. That did not matter. Obi-Wan had already overcome the emotional turmoil, telling Yoda that he did not believe that he could kill Anakin. But Yoda told him that he was the last line, that he had the best chance to defeat Anakin, that he knew him too well, that he knew his mistakes. Anakin's weaknesses were never in his actual form, never in his connection to the Force. It was always in his mind, his desire to prove his superiority over his master at every single turn. But Obi-Wan didn't go into the duel with this expectation. He couldn't go into the duel and attempt to overpower Anakin, to embarrass him. If he had done this, Obi-Wan would have certainly lost. Instead, Obi-Wan fell back on defense like never before. He had to make the most disciplined decision, biding his time for the perfect moment that Obi-Wan knew may never come. But luckily for him, it did. But it wasn't because he overpowered Anakin. He used his defensive skill to survive the relentless assault. He took advantage of a critical tactical mistake. He even warned Anakin, goading him into doing it, exploiting the dynamic of their brotherly friendship as Obi-Wan is the elder, as his master, by him cautioning Anakin that he would not make the jump, just as he had cautioned Anakin a million times before and been wrong. Anakin had proved him wrong with his tenacity and his skill. But in this moment, Anakin was wrong, and Obi-Wan had laid the perfect trap. We give a lot of credit to Anakin during the duel on Mustafar, but now I would like to sing the praises of Obi-Wan. Kenobi's victory was as much about his discipline and his patience as it was about Anakin's overconfidence and his instability. Kenobi did not approach the confrontation with the certainty of defeating Anakin. He relied on an understanding of Anakin's ability, his weaknesses, and his mastery of defensive combat, his composure under pressure. And while he mourned what Anakin had become, Obi-Wan had accepted that it was his duty to stop him, regardless of the personal cost or the odds of success. This is what a Jedi does. They do the right thing, even in the face of overwhelming odds. And despite the galaxy and the Jedi crumbling around him, in this moment, Kenobi was closer to the Force than ever before, putting his fate and faith entirely in its destiny, in the destiny that it saw fit to bestow upon him. In conclusion, Obi-Wan thought that he could defeat Anakin. He thought that it was possible. However, he thought that it was highly unlikely. Everything had to go in his way. Anakin had to make the right mistake, and Obi-Wan had to make no mistakes. That was the price of the duel. This was the most difficult duel Obi-Wan had ever experienced, not just emotionally, but tactically and physically taxing. Obi-Wan believed that Anakin was too far gone, and later he would say that the defeat symbolized the end of Anakin and the birth of Darth Vader. But Obi-Wan underestimated somebody in his own right here. He underestimated the resources of the Emperor. He believed that he would leave Anakin's fate up to the will of the Force, and it was the will of the Force to save him here. Perhaps Obi-Wan didn't underestimate this at all. He simply listened to it completely. But Obi-Wan's victory was marked by sorrow and regret. He viewed this as necessary, but it was only necessary because of his own failure. Obi-Wan had always tried to protect Anakin. He had ignored his emotional attachments because he thought that was the best thing for him. He believed that maybe he had aligned with the Council too often, been too rigid and dogmatic in his approach, been too unlike Qui-Gon Jinn, too unlike his own master. He had allowed Anakin to feel isolated and misunderstood, something that Palpatine would later exploit. But on Tatooine, this would not stop. The nightmares would continue, leaving Anakin to suffer a gruesome fate on Mustafar. He believed Anakin may have died there, at least before he began hunting Jedi. Obi-Wan believed that he was a true failure, and that weighed on his mind heavily. Obi-Wan failed Anakin because he didn't prevent his descent to the dark side, or protect him from Palpatine's influence, guide him with his personal struggle. This belief was rooted in Obi-Wan's deep sense of duty, a love for Anakin as his brother, and an adherence to the code of the Jedi. But Obi-Wan realized that this Jedi code was insufficient to address Anakin's unique challenges. His failure to save Anakin haunted Kenobi for the rest of his life, shaping his actions and his decisions during his exile. But it would also teach him a great deal. Failure is the greatest teacher after all, and Obi-Wan would go on to become the perfect Jedi Master to Anakin's own son, Luke. And through Luke, Anakin would be redeemed. But anyway, my friends, what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on why Obi-Wan thought he could have a chance against Anakin on Mustafar, although he believed that it was extremely unlikely? Again, my friends, be sure to check out the Star Wars merch page for the holiday season and pick up something cool. Again, code WAVE for 15% off your entire order. Until next time, my friends, I'll see you in the archives, and may the Force be with you.